Fletcher, and this afternoon we are in the home of Annette Smith, and Annette is going to provide us with information about Sierra County. She's lived here in Sierra County since when, Annette? 1917? 1917. So this interview is going to be part of the Centennial celebration for the state of New Mexico and Sierra County. We are going around and identifying folks that have been here a long time, and we are videoing them and having their stories told. And so, again, like I said, I'm Sherry Fletcher. I'm the interviewer. Annette Smith is the interviewee, and Ann Welburn is at the camera, behind the camera, videoing. And hi, Annette.
Hi, Sherry.
How are you?
Deaf, dumb, and blind, and 97.
97 years old.
Will be.
So you will be. So, and your birthday is in?
March.
In March. So when did your family move to Sierra County, and how old were you?
In 1917, and I was 3 years old.
And you were 3 years old. And where did they come from?
From Deaf Smith County, Texas.
Deaf Smith?
Deaf.
Deaf.
Like I am.
Deaf Smith County, Texas.
Right.
Very good. And what was your parents' names?
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Lee Wilson.
Robert Lee Wilson. And what brought him here to Sierra County?
My father had a rheumatism. He came here. The doctors told him if he stayed another 6 months in Texas, he'd probably be dead, and he lived over 20 years when he came here.
Wow. So so they moved here for health reasons. Did he take the baths?
He took the baths religiously. Ever so often he took his 21 baths.
And so tell us about the 21 baths. Tell us about what that meant when they would do 21-day baths. Do you remember about the health seekers and why that was a recommendation from the doctors?
I have no idea.
But he religiously took his
But
baths?
that's what they told him, and that's what he did. This is a bathhouse that he went to. Gosh, I guess it isn't there. It's
Is there one here?
no.
Well, here's a bathhouse here.
Oh, that was one of them. But the bathhouses, as I understand, was built first by the ranch hands of the ranch that ran from here to the top of the mountain, and they did it so the old cowboys could get unstiffened.
After they'd been cow punching on their horses for long lengths of time, they had a line shack out here. And I believe that was the Bar Cross, wasn't it? Or
That was the Bar Cross.
The Bar Cross right here. So what we have is, so here we have a picture. So what?
Well, this is where the bathhouse was.
Uh-huh. That's right. But you have another picture there. What about this one? Is that with the state bathhouse? Is that the one you're talking about?
This is where the state baths were later built. This is where we bathed when we first came here.
Okay, and then you were looking, is this the picture that's got the bathhouse there, right here? Was this the one we were looking for?
No.
No?
It isn't in there. It would be down in here.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that was the first one. Okay.
But this is where the folks had to bathe when they first came in.
And
that was also built by the ranch.
Right, and that was where your dad bathed there.
That's where we all bathed.
Do you remember how much it cost to bathe, or was it free?
It didn't cost anything at that time.
What was the difference between a bath and, at one time I think you spoke of that a mineral bath was different than just a regular bath, because when you took baths in a bathhouse, you couldn't use soap, or was that something?
Well, anyway, you just hoped you got clean.
Because they wouldn't let you use soap.
No, we didn't have a bathroom. we went on Saturday and had our bath at the bathhouse, whether we needed it or not.
And I bet, and you had, how many children, I mean, how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Well, that came out here with us, there was 7 of us. I was the youngest of 7. And there was, we left 2 brothers in Texas. They were married and they stayed there, and the rest of them came, and that was 1 brother and 3 sisters. Mm-hmm. And myself.
So all of you went down there every Saturday and took your baths down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We didn't have running water in the house. The water was pumped from the river to the tank on the hill.
And who had that water? Who had that water company at that time? Does it belong to the city or did it belong to somebody else?
It belonged to somebody else. I think the name was...
Was it Pankey?
Thompson.
Thompson?
I think.
And when did Pankey have it then? Was that later when they had the windmill? Or, I mean, they had the water mill down here?
Pankey?
Uh-huh.
Well, it might have been Pankey that had it.
Uh-huh. So they pumped the water then from the river to...
The tank on the hill. So we had running water close, but you had to go to the yard to get it.
Mm-hmm. Where did you live at that time? Do you remember the street you lived on?
Well, when we first came here, we lived at the French's camp, which would be about where the Spur is, the Spur Cafe is now. Mm-hmm. That's where the camp was. Mm-hmm. Or it was just, I think it was a bunch of shacks that had been moved down from the dam after they had completed the dam.
And I think the Spur Cafe then later was named Barbecue on Broadway.
Was what?
Later named Barbecue on Broadway.
Well, isn't it still in, and the Spur Cafe still there?
Uh-uh.
Well, what do they call it?
Barbecue on Broadway, right next to Magnolia Ellis's building.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, her building was built on part of the French's camp.
Okay.
And then the Malones had it later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the picture of the Malone girls there somewhere.
Yeah, let's see where we have the Malone girls. I think it's right here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Were the Malone girls there, or was the Malone girls here?
Yes, this is one of the Malone girls.
Yeah.
So, I think this one is the other one. And she married one of the Cox boys.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think they both married Coxes, but not in a relation.
Uh-huh. Okay, very good. So you were born in Texas, and then you moved to New Mexico when you were, what, about a year old, or?
3.
3 years old. And what do you remember about that time they finished the dam, didn't they? What year did they finish the Elephant Butte Dam?
They finished it, I think, in 1916, didn't they? 1916. So it was finished. It was finished by the time I got here. The roads were real bad around the dam.
Tell us about the roads. Did you ever go out to the dam? Did you ever go out to the lake when you were little?
Oh, yeah, we didn't have a swimming pool here, so Mother wouldn't let us go in the river because it was too cold and sweat. I've got one of those spells. Sorry.
That's fine. So your mother wouldn't let you go in the water, so you would go and your siblings would go out and swim at the
lake.
The lake.
Cecil would take us.
And did you swim out, did you go to Lions Beach, or did you go down closer to Ash Canyon?
About where the Lions Beach is, but it wasn't Lions Beach at that time. It still had a lot of cactus and mesquite and so forth.
Uh-huh. And what did they call the beach at that time?
They didn't call it, just go to the lake.
Just go to the lake. And I think that the Lions, I think later they named it Lions Beach because didn't the Lions adopt that beach to help set it up for an area for bathing?
Yeah.
The Lions
But
Club?
that was many years later.
Okay. Very good. So you grew up here, you were in the high school class of what, 1934?
Right.
And who were some of your classmates? And how large was your class?
Well, I'll say Raymond Casey one, because that's Ruby Bixby was another one. Oh, goodness.
And you had Jewel Mims was in the class?
No, she wasn't until we were seniors.
Okay.
When we were juniors and seniors, when Jewel came.
Uh-huh.
And Jewel.
Do you remember anybody?
Oh, Mark Spanogle was good in school at that time.
And about how many were in your graduating class? Do you remember?
I think there was about 34. That was the biggest one they had, and we had gone together from the beginning. We were a large class always, so they had us, instead of the regular school, we always out in the tar paper shacks they had out there.
And where were they located? The tar paper shacks.
In the back of the lots, where the school is, where the old school is. I don't know what they call it now.
I think it's county offices.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so instead of portables like we have today, metal portables, you were in a tar paper shack.
Right.
Instead of that was the portable.
And I don't think we went but 1 year in that new building. They built that new building in 1921.
23, I think. Uh-huh.
And I think we were only in that new building 1 year. Otherwise, that class was always stuck out in the sticks.